All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. A very, very special episode number
60, baby. Happy Halloween.
I feel like before we pan to Georgie, we should probably do some sort of an introduction or at least a graphic content warning. Joe, do you want to do the honors of introducing this absolute legend?
Of course. So, obviously, every year it's a Halloween episode, one of our absolute favorite episodes. So, we dress up as some of our favorite characters around the world. I am, of course, Captain Lincoln Osiris. I'm a guy disguised as a guy, playing a dude disguised as another dude. On the ones and twos, we have my good friend over here, Marty McFly.
Mm-hmm.
And from across the pond, this man, you know him well. He's been famous for a while now. The one and only Bo Rat, baby.
Very nice. Give me your tears. I like you. Do you like me? Very nice weather here in the United States.
Oh, my word. Unbelievable, this guy. So Georgie came in with he fooled us. Honestly, he fooled us. We thought he was going to be something else. We thought he was being lazy today. He didn't have a costume. He just brought like a little Amazon work vest.
You tricky motherfucker.
Georgie.
That's nice.
You know the funny thing about this is that this will live on the internet forever. So Georgie, when Georgie one day becomes the president of Bulgaria,
Kazakhstan.
somebody will find this.
That's nice.
Very, very nice.
Big.
Great success.
All right, so
my stash keeps falling though.
It's all right. Stay in character. Stay in character. Don't break character.
All right. We already got a comment on the live because we're doing this episode live for the very first time. Next Goal Wins podcast. We figured we'd do number 60, the Halloween episode. Joe, how do we feel about episode number 60?
Again, my name is Lincoln Osiris. Can you please get it right, Marty?
Oh, I'm sorry,
but
Lincoln Osiris.
I absolutely am ecstatic. I'm over the moon. This reminds me of when we were first able to vote. You know what I mean? And I am excited for this podcast. I'm excited for where we're going. I'm excited for the future. The future is now, ladies and gentlemen. The future is now. But Marty, we are going to need to make sure that you are on the chat as the chat is popping off. Can you commit to doing that?
I did get some criticism last time because apparently I didn't check the chat. My boy Beto was giving us a rose, man.
What do we got? We got anything popping in the chat right now?
Yeah, Beto giving us roses, man.
Oh, what up, Beto? Thank you, bro.
Beto giving us roses.
I like a rose. I like the rose. What color the rose?
He said, "What's going on here? That gets a rose."
That's very nice.
Sure he's talking about you. So, Georgie, you're going to get a lot of camera time today.
I like
all the camera on Georgie today.
I like. That's very nice.
And as you guys noticed, we had to be very careful with the camera positioning for Georgie's take. So
we'll post a full body shot for everybody after the episode.
Yeah,
that ain't never coming out
on the Instagram.
That's going to be for the calendar for the Next Goal Wins 2025 calendar. We're doing the photo shoot today. So
should it only be for the Patreon customers?
Exactly. That's right. All right.
So recap it up. Who's running this show today? Me?
Joe will be running the show today, so he's going to get
my
us
name
through the precap
is
and
Lincoln.
Lincoln Osiris.
I can't work with amateurs. I cannot work with amateurs. We need you to get this shit right.
Sorry. My apologies. I'm just a switcher right now. I'm just a switcher.
Oh, man,
I'm just
leading us the wrong way.
All right, get us going.
All right. So we got a short but sweet episode, and I say short, but who knows? We might be up here for the next 2.5 hours, but. We're about a quarter of the way through the Premier League season, so we're gonna talk a little bit about who looks the best so far from a team perspective, as well as an individual perspective. We're gonna talk about who the MVP of the season is.
Well, I like. Very nice.
We're gonna pick who we believe so far is the top manager, who's getting the tactics right with the squad that they have. We're gonna end then with the top 6. Prediction, where will the top 6 fall? And then, of course, we got to talk about who's going to get bumped, who's dropping down, the relegation battle. We're going to pick our bottom 3 to go down. And if you want us to talk about anything else, throw it in the chat. We're going live, so we know. Yeah, today could be crazy. Today could be different. Today could be weird. It's already weird. Georgie's, never mind, just hanging out. But we'll figure it out. We will figure it out, and Y'all at home, you're lucky for the camera placement because in studio, whoo!
All right, where are we
give 'em
starting
out.
then? Where are we starting?
All right, let's
Where are we
start
starting?
quarter of the way through the season. Who? Borat. I don't know why I said that with an accent. Borat. Which team looks the best so far?
Kazakhstan, we have professional league of 2 teams. Number 1 team, it's Manchester City right now because they're number 1. The Pep Guardiola always talking players this after game. No. We don't like too much talk. No need. Number 2. Oh no, you that's number 1. I give him 1. Manchester City, I think number 1 for now. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else to add?
No.
Okay.
It's gonna take a lot of effort for you guys to stay in character for an hour and a half.
I don't break character until the DVD documentary, okay? What about you, Marty?
I'm gonna go with Manchester City.
You
As
can't
much as I
copy
hate-
me.
Of course I can. Of course I can.
You can't copy the Kazakhstan king.
You can.
King of the castle. You do
This
this.
guy
you
can
do this.
transport time zones and everything, and go to the future, go to the past, go to the present, do all these things, and he can't even come up with his own ideas.
Yeah, Manchester City. Arsenal have fallen off. I think it's as much as I hate to say it, even as an Arsenal fan, this season is not it, my friends. This season is not it. Manchester City are going to finish top.
Please go back to wherever you came
heard it
from,
here.
Marty.
You
We
heard
don't
it
need
here.
that negativity up in here. We ain't about that life. We ain't about that life.
Can I interrupt real quick because we got a very important comment here.
Yes.
My boy Beto said, "How many roses to move Georgie's camera lower?"
Every 10 roses, you get an inch.
I don't know. An inch is too much at this point, Joe. All right. What about you, Joe?
I got to go with. I can't go with Arsenal. I agree with you. We haven't looked great, but I don't think City's look great either. I'm actually going to go with Arne Slot and Liverpool. I think they've been the most consistent. I think they've performed well. So I'm going to go with Liverpool so far, looking the best. But it is early, and I hope Arteta and Arsenal can figure it out. And I also think Pep and City will start looking a little bit better here as they get Kevin De Bruyne back, etc.
I love the transition into the regular accent. Did you see that?
It's
That
hard.
was smooth.
But, hey,
that was like slow gradient back into the regular accent.
alrighty.
Love it.
We got some haters, but you know what? The show must go on. The show must go on. My buddy just texted me. He goes, "Is he Borat or Freddie Mercury?" It's a great question, Rob. Great effing question.
To be fair, if we move the camera up higher, just to the neck and up, people would probably think you're Freddie Mercury.
For sure.
But
For sure. All right. We talked about the best team so far. MVP. Who is the MVP of the season? We're going to go to our good friend over here. Can't get the names right. Has shitty takes,
I
but
already
you
forgot
can't
your
copy
name.
anybody if you go first. Marty McFly.
player of the season so far has to be Cole Palmer. Has to be Cole Palmer. Man scoring goals left and right. Without him, I think he's got the biggest impact on any team in the Premier League this season. When we talk about Rodri's impact at Manchester City, obviously he's been hurt. Arsenal's had a lot of injuries, so I don't think that there's been anybody who's really stood out for Arsenal consistently in the first 9 games of the season. I think Cole Palmer is miles ahead of any other Premier League player in terms of how much they impact their team, how much he's gotten them points and basically won games, not by himself, but pretty much won games by himself. And the man is he's ice cold. Cole Palmer.
What about you, Borat?
I like the way you think. Very nice, chili, nipples hard. Cole Palmer, I think, player of season so far, the left foot's magical. Short and sweet. Up to you.
I gotta say the same thing. I was giving Marty McFly crap for copying answers. I'm over here copying too, but I mean the man. He without him, Chelsea's in shambles. He keeps Chelsea afloat. He does it all. He can score brilliant goals. He can drop gorgeous passes. The man looks like Simple Jack, but plays out of this world. So I gotta go with Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer. Anything
Let's.
you'd like to add to that?
Well, let's. I think what we should do today is
Worst player?
Well, no, but before we get into that, what we should do is every once in a while interrupt the podcast to talk through the chat because we got some questions coming through the chat. So I feel that'd be a good way to break it up. So,
Lead us, Marty.
first of all, Kazakhstan King.
King on the castle, you do this,
All
you
right.
do this.
That was
No,
the
no, no,
comment
no,
that we
no, 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 no.
But depending on how Chelsea does, whichever team wins the Premier League is going to have the MVP, said my boy Beto. And then Bex in 05 said, can you say the same thing about Salah? I'm guessing in terms of his importance to a team as Cole Palmer. We're going to go to Liverpool supporter Borat.
Borat's taking a break because we're talking Liverpool. Yeah, I mean, in terms of like Salah, how important he is to Liverpool, I think he's the goal scorer. He's the main threat. And I think Liverpool goes as far as Salah goes in terms of like the scoring ability, because I don't think we've created enough chances this season, like clear-cut chances. I think we've been a lot more solid in our play, but we haven't really created that many chances. So I think Salah is huge for Liverpool in terms of the goals, just because for the past few years, Salah might not have a good game, but he was finding a way to score a goal. Some way, somehow, he scores. So he might have the worst game ever, and then somehow he'll find a way to score. So I think that's the one thing that he's really, really good at, and he's become this 20, 25 goals a season player that it's very, very hard to replicate. So in terms of importance to a team, I do think so, that he's probably the most important player for Liverpool in terms of attacking wise. The other thing I would say though is Gravenberch has been so amazing, and I think Liverpool have been lacking the midfield presence for a while now. Ever since we saw like Gini, Wijnaldum, Henderson, Fabinho, we haven't really had a really, really good midfield. And I think now with like Gravenberch stepping up, so much talk through the summer about the transfer window, about bringing another player in, we didn't, and he got his chance and he's taking it full blown. So I think he's one of the other guys who are really, really important for Liverpool going forward.
I'm assuming you want me to talk because the camera's on me. But
You're leading the charge today.
But yeah, no. The question was, what do we think Salah's just as important as Cole Palmer? I think he's important, but I think that if Salah was missing for a few games, Liverpool's good enough to still get some results. Where I think if Cole Palmer's missing for a game or two, there aren't many goals left in that team without him pulling the strings. I think Luis Diaz, Jota, Darwin can create opportunities, and Liverpool can score without Salah. Obviously, having him helps tremendously. But I'd say they're on the same path, but I think Palmer is much more important for Chelsea than Salah is for Liverpool, at least in short periods of time. If Salah was out for a large chunk of the season, I got to stop with the accent, too. It's hurting my throat. There goes everything for Liverpool if he's out for long periods of time. But short periods, I think they can get some results and get it done.
What was the next one you said? Did you say the worst?
Yeah, I was just joking.
I think we might as well.
Worst player?
Yeah, worst player in the Premier League so far.
Damn.
I can't even tell you.
Yeah.
That's hard.
We can also say most are underperformer.
Biggest
right?
underperformer?
Yeah, somebody who we thought was going to be better and just hasn't performed very, very well. Across any of the teams, who would you guys say? I think it's got to be somebody from Manchester United. We can probably
Bruno?
narrow it down.
Yeah, but do you actually expect that much from Manchester United?
I
mean, Gary Neville did. He thought they were going to reach top 4.
You can expect some from some of their some of their players. I'm gonna say it's probably gonna be Zirkzee.
Really?
Yeah,
He's new to the league.
I know he's new to the league, but he's brought in to score goals. Okay, he scores the first week, so everybody hypes him up. It's like, oh, this guy's fantastic. He scores a goal, and then after that, he goes completely cold. He's missed a lot of opportunities. He reminds me of Nunez his first season in the Premier League.
The thing is, though, I don't think, like Manchester United, I don't think they brought him in. I don't think Zirkzee was ever going to be the guy to score goals. He's more of like a 10.
Well, they brought him in. They put him as a center forward.
Why they bring him in as a 10? They have Bruno.
Because Rasmus is injured.
It's true.
Like Zirkzee was Xerxes is a player that's supposed to be a Firmino type of a player. He's nowhere near the level of Firmino. But I think, Manchester United fans might be thinking different. But whoever was hyping him up, there was never a time where I thought they're bringing this guy in and he's going to score 20 goals. It's never just one. Yeah, doesn't even play. When Rasmus plays, he's on the bench.
Right, but that's because he went cold after the first week. And then he couldn't score goals. Manchester United were struggling. And then as soon as Højlund could come back, they're like, okay, well, we got to put Højlund because Xerxes is clearly not the answer.
Rasmus can't score either, so.
Rasmus, he's been scoring a couple goals, actually. He scored the last couple games.
He has one, maybe? Two?
One or two, I think. But he's only been back for 2 or 3 games, so he's actually not done terribly. But let's talk about Manchester United, though. Huh?
What,
Joe, what was the stat that you said?
That under Ten Hag, they never scored 5 goals. First game without Ten Hag, they scored 5 goals against the Premier League side. That's what the stat was. Against the Premier League side, they never scored 5 goals. Wasn't in the Premier League, but they scored 5 today on Leicester in the EFL Cup.
I'll give you another stat. Mo Salah has been booked more times in Manchester United at Old Trafford for taking his shirt off after celebrating a goal than Manchester United have scored against Liverpool at Old Trafford.
Since when?
I think since Ten Hag took over.
Makes sense.
That's crazy.
Who's now gone?
Well, we're not going to be talking about Ten Hag for very much longer unless some Premier League team or some big team in the world gives him a contract and takes him on somewhere. I would assume he would go back to the Netherlands. Might be a team in the Netherlands in which he'll want to pick up. He went home as soon as he got sacked, got straight on a plane, got sacked after he got sacked.
With his 17 million or whatever?
With his 17. So he's going to make, what is he going to make, 17 million a year?
No. Overall, I think.
But he's still going to make, his overall, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Over
thought it
2
was
or
more
3
than
years?
that.
2
Well, what
years?
do you mean,
about somebody
17
else.
million
I'm
for-
thinking about Mancini. Mancini's making like 17 million a year,
he's
20
making
million a
crazy
year.
money, yeah.
Yeah.
But we're not, I'm a little bit upset that we no longer are going to be able to talk about Ten Hag.
Me too.
Yeah, I told you guys. It was a sad day.
That's who I should have been. Ten Hag. Damn. Stick
You
to the
should have
plan.
been Ten Hag.
Stick to the plan. Stick to the plan.
But anyway, rumors are getting closer. Eric Ten Hag is going to be replaced by Ruben Amorim from Sporting. Did you see his press conference, Georgie?
Yeah. When he laughed. Like he was laughing about when he was asked about.
Well, it's kind of funny because they ask him, where will you be? Are you going to be in the Manchester United dugout at Old Trafford? Are you going to be at Old Trafford on Saturday or whatever? And he says, no, I'm going to be here at Sporting. And then they're like, definitely? And he's like, I don't know. And he starts laughing.
Yeah.
But the good thing about it is for him, he doesn't really have that much pressure because it's not like when they ask a manager about taking a potential job, if the club hasn't approved it, it puts them in a really awkward position to say like,
Right.
what can they say? But the club has already approved it because of his release clause. As long as Manchester United pays the 10 million, which they've already agreed to do so, the club has already approved it.
Yeah.
So it's not like he can say anything that the club is going to disapprove of because they've already let him go. So it's up to him as far as personal terms. But he did say, just wait a little bit longer, and once they wait a little bit longer, he's going to tell everything. But you would think that if he was going to stay for sure, he would have said, I'm happy here. This is a long-term project. You know, all that bullshit that they always say.
Yeah.
But he said, give me a little bit more time and I'll explain everything. I'll tell you guys everything. But then he, again, said, I don't know if he's going to be there on by Saturday. So it's moving pretty quickly.
So you think he's for sure out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Agreed. I did look a little bit about his formations. He likes to use essentially a 3-box-3, a 3-4-3. So he uses the 3 center backs, double pivot with 2 in front of them, and then the 3 in front. So lots of options in the middle in order for him to be able to play out lots of possession style football. The interesting thing about all of this is that Pep Guardiola broke football in the sense that everybody, as soon as they saw Barcelona, was like, we can play out of the back. We're going to play out of the back. Possession type football is the best type of football that you can play. overwhelming majority of managers have said that. And now, if you guys have taken a closer look, because everyone's trying to play out and because everyone's trying to press high because of teams playing out, Pep Guardiola and Mikel Arteta and even Liverpool, Arne Slot, are starting to play long ball.
Yeah.
Not long ball, but they're starting to play more long balls than they did in
They'll
the
play
past.
it long to relieve the pressure.
Yep.
And let people get in behind you. Smart. Take what the other team gives you.
What do you think about that, Georgie?
Uh,
Arne Slot playing long ball.
Well, I like what he does because he baits the press. So as soon as everybody's like, "Oh, we can high press," and you do like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 passes inside the box or within your defensive third, then you know you have Salah, who you can ping a ball to. He's usually pretty strong to like control the ball, get it down, and play. Jota, who's really good at hold the play, or Darwin when he plays, you know he has the pacing behind. You have different options, and I think when you have different options, especially like that, and when all the teams think they can win the ball and press, why not do it? I would do it all the time. Like as soon as you start passing the ball around and the team thinks they can come and like press you, instead of overplaying, you might as well play the long ball, and then for the most part you're isolated 1v1 somewhere. So I don't know why it's taking this long actually for teams to start doing that, because it's kind of common sense. What a lot of teams in the past few years have done is they try to overplay and overplay and overplay.
Mm-hmm.
That goals just get scored on, like Manchester United against Liverpool. They thought they can play through Liverpool.
Yep.
Liverpool baited them to play the ball into the middle, exactly where they wanted them. Gravenberch, McAllister picked out every single pass, 3 goals just like that.
Quick counters.
Yeah.
Cool.
And at that point, when you win the ball, like in Manchester United's defensive third, you're already...
You only need to complete one somewhat difficult pass and then make sure your finish is on point.
And that's how we won. It's not that Liverpool played amazing in terms of like ball control or all that stuff. No, it was just Manchester United thought they can play through Liverpool. Liverpool baited them to play wherever they wanted to, and then picked out the passes. Why are you smirking?
This whole time I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, you shaved your chest. And for the costume, you should have left it unshaven.
No, I always shave my... I didn't think about this costume until like 2 days ago.
I just thought, like, can you imagine if this guy came in, Joe?
Full chest hair, letting it all hang out. You should have.
But anyway.
Well, instead, he's got an actual mustache under his mustache.
That he could have grown out.
Yeah. Next year.
I am so happy that I can watch video and I can see Manchester City and Arsenal and Liverpool hitting a long ball. Because for the longest time, everyone in youth soccer to professional soccer said we are going to force our teams to play out no matter what. And to this day, I still play against teams. I still coach against teams that are not very good. And especially when they're not very good, their coaches are like, well, if we're not going to be very good, at least we're going to learn how to play the game properly. So every single thing we do, as far as the build out, is going to be like, we're going to force the build out. We're never going to go long.
And you just press, steal the ball, score.
Every
Press,
single time.
Steal the ball, score. Repeat the process, win the game, keep it moving.
So I think it's good that we can be like, look, just because they did it, even they are the ones saying you don't have to build out in every single moment.
It's true.
Sometimes the long ball. It's all for me. Coaching. This is the way I analyze an opponent when I coach. I look at the formation because the formation will typically tell you their starting positions. I will look for tendencies, like what are they doing specifically, because sometimes it'll be like they'll have a really strong like outside back, for example, and that is the one that always pushes out instead of the other one on the other side, and the other one will almost always tuck in. So like specific tendencies from players. And then finally, for me, the more important one is the spaces. Where is the space? Because if you want to beat a team, you have to find the open spaces in order to move them enough to be able to go to goal. So some teams will super high press, right? And right away, if a team high presses us, I start looking at their back line and know, okay, is the ball in behind going to be on? Is the ball into the space between like the outside back and the center back? What are the spaces that are on? And if they, sit in a low block or whatever, that means the spaces are in our build out, which means our center backs, for example, have to dribble the ball because they have to draw somebody out in order to play into the next gap. So just a little quick, I guess, how I how I analyze the game and stuff like that. But I'm just glad. What I'm trying to say is I'm just glad that we're finally getting away from this. The game has to be so pretty every single time, because that's not the case. The case is about finding the right spaces and how do you exploit those spaces in order to win games.
Agreed. Got to have the players, I think, who can think on the spot to make those things happen.
For sure. What else we got, Joe? Sorry.
We've
What's your
talked
name
about
again?
the MVP. We've talked about who looks the best in terms of a team standpoint. But kind of on your point with tactics, we can pivot over and talk about the manager. Which manager do you think so far, quarter of the way through the season, has gotten it right the most? Tactically, team selection, overperforming based on the team that they have, etc. Who do you say the top manager is?
It's tough. Because I like what Maresca's done. I like what Slot has done. Obviously, Arteta and Pep are already, like, they were already established. So it's kind of hard to, like, Arteta was doing this last year too. So it's not like a surprise. Pep has been doing this for years, so it's not really a surprise. I guess I would say Slot and Maresca. I really like the way they coach. I like the way they set up their teams, how just tactically, even though Maresca got absolutely destroyed today, but like still. And I think they're still learning. That's the most important thing for me, is the fact that they're 10 games in. And some managers have been here for years. And we're still talking about, like, obviously Ten Hag, but like what their style is and how much money they spend and all these things. So those two would be for me, and I always back my boy Areola from Bournemouth. I'm actually very surprised Manchester United did not even like think about or approach or talk or anything. Premier League proven, doing it very well at Bournemouth. So why not give the man a chance? Sometimes you need a manager like that to come in from the unknown and kind of just, make Manchester United, make them better, at least to where they are now. So
I'm going to give you guys a name before we talk about the ones that I think, because I think we're typically always going to go with the big teams. What do you guys think about, and Bex05 said in the chat, Fabian Hurstler?
Brighton.
For Brighton? I think he's done, for number one, I think he's hyped up because of how young he is, so I think there's that. I will say I feel like he's tactically gotten it wrong in, I'm trying to think what game it was.
Chelsea.
That was, I think it was
the
Chelsea.
high line.
Yeah, and I'm like, and that cost them. I do think he's good, but I have someone completely and totally different in my head in terms of who I think is
And who's that?
doing the best right now, and that is NES, Nuno Espirito Santo, for Nottingham.
Yeah.
They're like 6th or 7th place right now, aren't
Seventh place. They went to Anfield and won.
Bastards.
They
That's right.
went to Stamford Bridge and drew.
Should have won. Should have won.
Should have won. And if you look at what they've done, pretty much a very similar team. It's not like they overhauled the team last season to this season. And correct me, like last season, it took them to, I think, 2 or 3 games before the end of the season to be like finally safe.
Because the deduction or whatever they had.
Yeah, because the deductions and all
Yeah.
of those things. So,
And he came in halfway through the season, I think, last year.
yeah, and I think I really liked what he did with Wolves a few years
Yeah.
ago. I feel like he's a pretty good manager and does well. And I'm looking at that team when you're starting. And they've missed Morgan Gibbs-White for multiple games from suspensions and things. So,
No, I like
to me,
him
it's
a lot too.
NES. I've been very impressed with them. And one of my good friends is a Nottingham Forest fan, so he's probably buzzing based on where they're at in the table.
As a coach, a football junkie, I do like when I'm a very open-minded person when it comes to supporting managers of clubs that I don't like. Like, I want them to do well, which kind of puts me at a conflict, because I remember when Klopp first came to Liverpool, I really liked Klopp, his personality, his philosophy. So I almost wanted Liverpool to do well just because I wanted Klopp to succeed. Same goes for Enzo Maresca and Arne Slot. I like these guys, their demeanor, their personality, their philosophies. I like the fact overall that there's no question in my head that they're good coaches, because it's 6 weeks into the season and Arne Slot was playing a philosophy that looked like they had been doing this for 2 or 3 years. So Liverpool looked good. It's kind of funny. Did you see? I think I sent you guys this quote where he was like, It's funny, before I came to the Premier League, everybody told me there was no easy game in the Premier League. And all of a sudden, just because we won all of our games or most of our games, everyone's telling me we've only had easy games, that there was no easy games. So I think he's gone above and beyond, because I agree, there is no easy games in the Premier League.
No.
I don't care what your start is. After 9 games, at some point within those 9 games, you've played a couple difficult teams. It might not be the big teams, but it's difficult teams. So the fact that he's done well is good. Enzo Maresca, man, going into a preseason friendly against Manchester City and trying to play a 3-2-5 in possession. It's unbelievable to me that you would want to do that. And I think I gave him a little bit of criticism because I was like, bro, you can't do that in your freaking second or third game in charge or whatever. However, it seems to be paying off. Now, I don't think he plays as aggressive anymore. I don't think he's playing a 3-2-5 most of the time in possession. But he's also got players like Cole Palmer, who he doesn't need to push that many numbers forward, because Cole Palmer will find that one guy on the wing, Pedro Neto, with a nasty, nasty ball. So I think those guys have been performing really well. I do like Fabian Herzler, because I think he's, I don't know, gives me a little bit of, makes me feel good that the younger coaches are succeeding and doing well.
Inspiring to you? You think that'll be you soon?
I don't think that'll be me, obviously. I'm so far away.
34-year-old.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see, 100%.
It's super cool to see, and it's like challenging this stupid idea that I believe everyone has in all jobs, in all markets, is that you need experience to do a job well. You know, people complain about that when they're younger and they're trying to get jobs. Like, you tell me I need experience. How am I supposed to get experience if you don't give me the opportunity? Right. Brighton has given him the opportunity, and Brighton as well. I mean, if we were to talk about a club that is ran extremely well, Brighton's got to be one of the best ones. Making all of the right decisions, staying away from certain... Again, they could have gone with older coaches that are like, oh, well, you know, he's got a lot of experience. They went with somebody who maybe doesn't have as much experience, but they truly believe in. And when you back them and you give them the resources to succeed, boom, you get a Brighton. You get an Aston Villa. And I know Unai Emery's not necessarily super young, but fantastic coach, you can tell. Arne Slot, Ruben Amorim. That's why Manchester United, they're making a comeback. I said this. When did I say this? Last year?
Yeah.
Remember I said, what did I say? Within how many years did I say Manchester United was going to be one of the best teams in the Premier League?
You did
2 or 3?
3 years, I think I might have said. 3 years.
Check the tape.
What do you guys think? Am I right?
I mean...
Is it still too early to tell?
It's way too early to tell. They haven't even appointed a new manager yet.
But they will.
I hope he doesn't go.
He's coming.
I hope not. I like him, man. I can't like the Man United manager.
Yeah.
I've hated every single one.
What? You hate David Moyes?
You hated Mourinho?
Actually, not Mourinho, but even
Football
Moyes.
heritage.
I'm a huge Moyes fan now because all the haters.
A lot of haters out there. Talking to you, Thomas.
Yeah, but you would never be a huge David Moyes fan at Manchester United, though.
Hell no.
Unless it was like how you support Ten Hag.
Oh,
for that reason.
And I did. I was a Moyes fan then.
Yeah.
Because of how
Ole at the
terrible they
wheel.
were.
Keep him at the wheel. Keep them all. Van Gaal, keep him there. Wow, they've gone through some terrible managers.
Yeah, they have.
All right, so let's...
Well, they also, they have.
No, but that leads us into the next one. Then if we talked about the best manager, Joe, what does that mean we're talking about next?
The worst manager?
Yes. You're a smart man, Joe. Or sorry, Osiris.
Lincoln
Osiris.
I mean, obviously the easiest answer would be Ten Hag. But I will also say
Julin.
Oh, I know. Your good friend, Big Ainge.
Oof. You're going to go for Big Ainge.
Whoa.
Big Ainge, yeah.
After they beat Man City today?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wait. Time out. What category is this? This is the worst manager
so far.
Damn.
Yeah. Maybe it's because he's at Tottenham. Maybe it's because Javi hates on him so much. But I actually thought Tottenham would make a huge step forward this year. I thought that they would challenge for the top 4 and even be potentially pushing for the title. I don't know why I thought that, but I just thought, like, hey, another season, another style of play. I'm a huge Mickey Van de Ven fan. I think he's going to be one of the best center backs in the world. I think he's one of the best center backs in the Prem.
What did we talk about last time? About him?
That he's
Injuries.
fast. Injuries, yeah.
He got hurt today again.
Oh, did he?
Hamstring. He's done for a while again.
Yeah, so,
All because of the high line. You can't keep doing that.
yeah.
No, but it's not the high line. It's the type of player he is.
He's just a fat. He's
Yeah.
Sure. The risk is slightly higher. At any point in the season, he's going to pull his hamstring, regardless if they play a low block or not.
Yeah, but if you play a low block, you're not required to sprint 100 times to recover all the players going in behind. Like, if you back up, he's not going to be running. Yeah, he might still get hurt.
Yeah,
but
but-
he's not going to be at a full sprint every. Like today, he's
Right.
full on
Chances are
sprinting
lower.
back.
all the time.
Like,
Yeah, but at the same time, though, if you have players with that pace, like you, as a manager, you're smart to put your players in position that like highlight their strengths.
yeah.
So you can make the argument of like if you are going to play in a low block, not that you don't need Mickey Vandenberg because he's a great defender and having that pace helps, but like why not play to his strengths? We can shrink the field. He's going to catch players. I mean, I think Pep does the same thing with Kyle Walker.
Well, if
and
I
it
was
works
Big
out.
Ange, I'll play low block so I can get him on the counter.
And Mickey
Boom.
Vandenberg, what, Gareth Bale it up?
Yep.
Might
many
as well
is-
put him as a winger.
How many assists does he have from just getting the ball and just running into the box and just giving it a tap in for someone? I think 3 this season
Mhm.
so far.
Yeah.
It's crazy. The guy's unreal. I like him a lot.
I am going to say that Big Ange is not the worst manager. He's been exactly where I thought he would be. Bang average. Okay.
Say it. Say it. Say I was right.
Your boy Julian Lopetegui,
No,
man.
that's not him. No. It's J-Lo.
Oh, sorry, J-Lo. J-Lo, your boy J-Lo. Nobody calls him J-Lo. I've not heard a single person besides you, Georgie, call him J-Lo.
Maybe.
So, yeah, if my boy Thomas was on the podcast right now, we would be giving him so much shit. And I think this is part of the reason why he took such a long deployment was because he knew this was going to happen. And he was like, I got to get out of there. He's been, I mean, West Ham have just been bad. And they could be worse.
They did sack Eric Ten Hag. They put Eric Ten Hag back to send him out of the country.
Yeah,
West
West
Ham
Ham. Yeah.
Sure. That's what I'm saying. So they haven't been terrible because if they would have been terrible, they'd be in the relegation battle. They're not in the relegation battle right now.
They're close though.
What are they, like 15th, 14th?
That's
No, I
13th.
think Manchester 13th. So they're not terrible when you
no,
look
they're
at
not,
it.
They're not that close.
It's just the fact that we get so mad about J-Lo is because it's a classic case of the grass is not greener on the other side, or be careful what you wish for, because all the fans, no support to David Moyes, who took you guys to a certain standard. If David Moyes did not have the previous experience that he had, people would have wanted him to stay. But because they know what he's been like at other teams, that's why they wanted him out. But I don't know. I also think football is also about fitting into the right places. We talk about the same thing with players. You talk about certain players who fit in really well at certain teams and they can really shine, and then they look like shit with other teams that you thought they'd be better. Why can't we say the same thing about managers? Right? Unai Emery. I think Unai Emery Arsenal wasn't a good fit because of the timing, but it was never an indication that he was not a good coach. It's my
fair.
thoughts. My thoughts.
Borat?
J-Lo. I do not like it. I didn't like the appointment. I've never liked him in terms of like being a manager anywhere he's been. I just don't think the teams have performed, and I have no idea how he got the job at West Ham. I really don't. On top of that, what do we talk about in the summer? West Ham won the transfer window. They did so many good signings, spent so much money. And for what? To be 13th on the table when you didn't spend any money. You had David Moyes that won you the Conference League or whatever Europe to like a year ago. And you were always in the top, 10
Top
per
half.
se, whatever. So for me, and I just like, and West Ham fans are going to say, well, we didn't like how David Moyes played. Well, Lopetegui is not doing that much better in terms of like, when you watch them play, it's not like they're playing Southampton type of football and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing.
Right.
You're just getting unlucky. It's not clicking for me.
That
And,
goes,
like,
sorry, go on.
and Kudus is getting benched left and right,
Right.
getting subbed to half, and I don't know. So I feel like there's drama and stuff like already.
Goes to what you were saying about like Pep kind of ruling football, where a lot of teams and fans now expect us to have possession. I expect us to be in possession. I expect us to dominate the ball. Instead of like remembering what the main thing is go out and win football matches, you know? And it's interesting when you look at like the most passes. Have you guys looked at the most passes on the FPL app of the teams and where everyone ranks? Obviously,
Southampton's like number 1 or number 2.
Manchester City's up at the top, but then Liverpool's up at the top. But then you go look at
Really?
like Arsenal. Yeah, it's Manchester City 1, Liverpool 2, Spurs, Southampton, Chelsea, Man U. Arsenal's all the way down at 13th.
Yeah.
Where it's like, because I think Arteta's thinking about the game differently of like, hey, let's just go win the match wherever they give us. If we need to be in possession, we'll be in possession. If we need to counter, we'll counter. But so many teams, I think, want to play that way. And then if they're not, or we don't have a style of play, it doesn't look good, sack the manager, where win games first, and then try and make it look great, especially at that level.
Yeah. I almost would like to see a Stoke City come back, like that type of team where it's like, yes, they get shit for it, but they're so good at their style of play.
Well, that's everything. With Sean Dyche. They try to be.
Yeah.
And that's like the well, not the closest.
But even he is trying to adapt a little bit. Like Stoke City was just like,
no nonsense.
like no nonsense, fucking hit it up. They had that one guy who had the long throw in or whatever.
Roddy Lap.
Yeah, exactly. And just like, I mean, how many goals did they score off of that, off of the long throwing?
They're the first set piece, right? They had the throwing coach, set pieces. It's crazy. It's a crazy thing about Stoke.
Back to West Ham, though. I also think fans were misled by the amount of signings that they made.
Yeah.
That it seems that not a single one of them is quality.
Well,
They started signing people left and right. And I remember Thomas going off saying, oh, when we signed this guy and we signed Crescencio Somerville and we signed
Somerville
this guy.
actually
Somerville's
just
legit.
balled out.
I like Somerville.
He
a lot.
just balled out, and
Bro,
I think
he's had
actually
like
gonna
one
be
good game.
Well, he hasn't played.
He hasn't
but
played. I liked him a lot at Leeds. When he first came to Leeds, he scored a lot.
Yeah, I do like Somerville, and I think he's going to be good. But everybody else,
He also didn't have to make that many signings. I thought like the team was actually really good.
yeah, I thought they were already stacked.
The way it was set up in terms of at least being. But I guess they probably needed a bunch more signings because now they're in Europa League. So
Yeah,
have to have the depth and things like that, injuries, etc.
I also do wonder if that plays a part because, again, going back to the statistics, any team that qualifies for European competition has a bad following year unless it's Manchester City, Arsenal, or
yeah, but
one
they
other one.
West Ham have been in Europe, no? With David Moyes, they won it a
They're in
year
the Conference
before.
League, yeah.
Yeah,
But
so-
that's I mean the levels of it. Like I think there's
Yeah.
drastic. Like you can have a decent bench and do well in the Conference League. You can have a pretty good bench and do well in the Euro. Like if
Mhm.
Arsenal went to the Europa League, they could play their second stringers and I think
yeah,
advance and do and
like Chelsea.
and move on. Like Chelsea, not even registering Cole Palmer for Conference League.
Yeah,
So
What else
so
we
we've
got,
talked
Joe?
about the best. We've talked about the worst.
listen, I need to give a shout out to my boy, Gary O'Neill
Okay.
at Wolves. Even though they're not getting that many results, he's a good coach. He's a good manager. Gary O'Neill, Thomas Frank,
Thomas Frank, yes. I agree with you.
Areola. Who else?
I
Those
thought
three.
I thought Wolves were going to come out and do really well this year. That was my prediction.
You
to start
did.
the
You
season.
did have them in
Yeah.
what?
I was like, they're going to be our team that overperforms.
Yeah.
And now they're in the relegation battle. But it's a long season.
They're
I
gonna
just
be
like
fine.
the way they play, and I feel like they can figure it out.
Oh, the Crystal Palace coach. I like him a lot too. Glasner.
Oliver Glasner?
Yep, so good. All those the 4 coaches. Well, Brentford and Bournemouth are obviously doing what they do, but I think Palace were in the relegation battle before last week because they beat Spurs,
Mm-hmm.
and Wolves still are probably.
Wolves are, they're second from last on 2 points.
I think those two teams stay in the Premier League.
Crystal
Because-
Palace and Wolves.
Even though a lot of people rolled them off.
Well, let's talk about then. It's perfect segue into the next topic, which is who goes down.
I will start, and I will tell you a team that will not go down. So I'm not answering Joe's question.
Good job.
Southampton.
You think they will not go down?
I think Southampton will stay up.
That's a
Because
bold
I think
prediction.
Southampton, when I look at them play, it is crazy that they have not won a game, that they've only drawn one game, I think, right?
Mhm.
And they've lost 8. They have everything right except the quality of players to be able to do what they want.
So they're going down.
No, but I think it's going to click for them. I think they're going to get. They've played a couple of tough teams as well, but I think they're going to get enough to stay right out of the relegation battle. And I would really like to see them follow through this season on supporting that coach. Can't remember what his name is, but seems like a guy who's got a very strong philosophy.
Russell Martin.
Yeah, right.
Russell Martin.
Yeah, he played in Norwich.
And
Center back.
they're not terrible. They actually have more, like we were talking about, they have more possession than most of the other teams, which you can't do unless you're good at passing the ball.
Yep.
Like you can try it, and then you're going to lose the ball and you're never going to get it back if you're a shit team. They're a good team. They possess well. They build out of the back. I think if they just need a little bit more time, and he needs to have a little bit more flexibility in sometimes we have to go long, sometimes we have to do a little bit more. But they've also had if I'm not mistaken, their last few games they've gone up, or at least their last game for sure. They went up, and then they
No,
game
last game
turned
was
over.
the City. They lost 1-0. They should have gone up.
So the game before that maybe.
Yeah, they were up to 0 at
Yeah.
Leicester, but got a record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
So-
should have gone up against Manchester City. They had a few great chances. And that was a close game, too. 1-0 at the Etihad. But you didn't answer the question at all. You said who will not go down.
That's right.
And the team you said will not go down is the team currently in last place. So who would the three teams be then that they will catch, pass, and that will go down?
Just before you go though, who's in the relegation battle right now?
Southampton on 1 point. Wolves on 2. Ipswich on 4. Crystal Palace on 6. Everton and Leicester on 9. Man United on 11.
Okay.
I'm gonna go for sure Wolves.
Okay.
As much as I like your boy, they sold their best players. They didn't bring anybody else in, and let's be honest, are they really playing a really good style of football? I think Southampton plays a better style of football. I think Wolves are just they just don't have enough.
Okay.
They just don't have enough.
so
I think
Wolves?
Wolves are going
One.
down. That's it. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Why are you hitting my?
Well,
listen.
no, I mean I could easily say Ipswich
Yeah.
because they just came up. I could say who else? Who
Next,
else?
Crystal Palace at 6. Everton at 9. Leicester at 9. Man United at 11. West Ham at 11. It's hard.
It's so hard. I'll move it to you guys because
Or
right
say
now
you think Southampton's going down.
no, Southampton's staying up.
Southampton's going down.
Damn.
Southampton's going down. Ipswich are going down. And the third one is a tough one. Because now you're... you know what? Even though Leicester City up there, I'm say Leicester.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'd go closer to Leicester than Everton.
Yeah, just because of the experience and they've been there and all that. It's kind of weird to say because Leicester won the Premier League. Like,
I'll say they got Jamie Vardy, bro.
yeah, too much for their coach Steve Cooper. I'm not a fan of his.
I'm not a fan of Steve Cooper either, but
That's the reason. I think that's the difference between Gary O'Neill at Wolves. Huge fan. I think they have enough quality. Joao Gomez in the middle, Lamina in the middle, Larson, their big tall striker, Alt-Nouri left back. I think
Do
they
they have Cunha?
enough-
Or Cunha somewhere else?
Yeah, Cunha as well.
Cunha as well.
Yeah. So I think they have plenty of quality to go around. I just think they've lost every single game. I think they've lost by 1 goal. So it's not like
pretty much, yeah.
so that's been tough.
They've also
But-
played some really. If you look at their schedule, it goes Arsenal, Chelsea, Forest, Newcastle, Brighton, Villa, Liverpool, Brentford, City.
Yep, literally the top 10 teams.
That's wild.
That's a crazy start to the season.
That's absolutely wild. So they
And-
literally have played every team at the top.
And the only reason they lost to Man City is 97th minute header John Stones, where Gary O'Neill was pissed off about the offside or whatever.
And Wolves, if I'm not mistaken, I saw a stat that says that. So they did a graph of all of the Premier League teams and how VAR has affected the amount of goals that have been overturned.
Yeah.
So it's like either VAR took, if you're at -7, that means VAR took 7 of your goals away. And if you're at +7, VAR gave you 7 goals that weren't awarded. And Wolves were by far, it was -13 for Wolves. And the closest one was in second place. I can't remember who it was, but second place was in -6
Damn.
Yeah.
or -7. So Wolves have essentially, and I believe this was last season though, but Wolves have gotten screwed over more by VAR than anybody else.
It keeps on going because it's been twice this season when they got screwed over. I like Wolves a lot. So I think Southampton, it's like that. I don't see them at all. I just don't think they have enough defensively. I think they're all over the place when they try to defend. I think they're okay. Obviously, they're good on the ball, but there's no Cameron Archer's their striker at all times, and he's not really that consistent. So you don't have a really good defense. You don't really have a striker that's going to get you the goals needed to stay. All you have is a team that is good at passing the ball, and I think to stay in the Premier League, I think you need a little bit more than just being able to keep the ball.
Okay. So
Southampton, Ipswich, Leicester. So the teams that pretty much came up. Even though Leicester are, 7 points ahead of Wolves?
Yeah. Honestly, I'd go similar to you. I would go Southampton, Ipswich, and Everton. Yeah. I don't know why, but I feel like they've consistently been down there year after year after year, and they found ways to stay up, but I just think that this year they won't, and it will be a really big deal if they go down.
It would be huge.
Huge deal, because it's a big club.
And the new stadium.
Yeah, new stadium.
That's crazy.
It would. That would be the first year, I think, of the stadium, right?
Yeah.
Brand new stadium, welcome to the championship.
That would be insane, because it's right on the water, beautiful stadium.
Yeah. So
I would normally, I would have said Everton. I just feel that there's too many teams that are real shit.
Yeah.
And that's why Everton are the least shit of all those teams. I think they'll end up in 16th or 15th through 17th place.
They'll be close.
Sorry,
to
not 15th through 17th.
Yeah, that would be it. 15th.
Yeah, that's right.
16th or 17th.
18th,
Yeah, 18th
19,
goes
20.
down.
Yeah, so that's what I think.
One thing I did find interesting in terms of relegation has nothing to do with the Prem, but Luton is in the relegation zone in the championship already.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were booing the coach.
That's crazy because there was so many games that they had where they were, I think it was Arsenal, Manchester City, and it might have been one more, where they were up on both of those teams, and in like the very last minute, they got scored on.
They did sell their key players.
Yeah.
And now they stayed in the Premier League.
Mm-hmm.
Their winger, who was it? He just got injured, actually. Played over the weekend. I don't know.
All right, so we've talked about the bottom. Let's talk about the top. Let's end it with that. Top 6 predictions.
Oof, 6.
In
Joe's making
order.
a stink.
Damn,
He's
in
making
order?
a stink.
In order.
All right, why don't you go first, Joe?
Okay. I'll start at 6. Brighton. 5th, Villa. Chelsea 4th. City 3rd. Liverpool 2nd. Arsenal top.
What about you, Georgie?
Do you want to see the table?
No, I'm just trying to think on the spot. But, damn, do I go with my heart or do I go with being real?
When has your heart ever led you to the right decision, Georgie? Let's be honest.
Fucking hell, never. I'll go with my heart. All right. It's time for somebody else to step in the 6th position. Bournemouth. Wait. You don't think Forest are going to keep up, huh?
They're in 7th now. I think they'll do well, but I think that over the back 3 quarters of the season they'll fade, and I bet you they'll probably finish in 7th or 8th would be my guess. Maybe even 9th or 10th.
I'm going to go Bournemouth because I'm a huge fan. I really like Bournemouth. Then it gets very, very interesting. Spurs. Oh, shit. Wait. Never mind.
It's hard.
Restart. I forgot. All right. So you have...
You sure you don't want to see the table?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
You know what? Villa, 6th place.
Okay.
No, Spurs, 6th place. Villa, 5th place. 4th, Chelsea. I always said City are finishing 3rd. In our preseason predictions, I said City are going to finish 3rd. I'm going to say Arsenal 2nd. Liverpool first because it's my heart.
Oh, see, so when you say that, that means you're not. Because you said, should I go with my heart or?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't think Liverpool are actually going to finish in first? You just want
My
them to
heart
finish
says
in-
that. My mind says it's too early to tell.
But
It's fair.
fair enough. That's a good top six. I would say that's a safe top six.
It's a very
Like
safe top
everyone
six.
can agree. If everybody was to vote, that's where people,
Yeah,
I think
probably,
most people would
It's
say.
crazy because like when I think about it, it's like you forget the Villa and
It's
Spurs
so
are like
consistent now. Yep.
part of like all of this.
So let me ask you a question, then both of you, I guess. No Newcastle in that.
No, I
No
think
chance.
Newcastle are so far below.
Yeah, really?
They don't score goals, man.
Even though they did beat Chelsea 2-0 today, but it's a cup game.
Yeah.
Sure.
They're also so far back of it already, and
Javi loves Newcastle. He loves Eddie Howe.
they were.
Newcastle's been consistent
They
over the
were-
last couple of years.
I don't think
know.
so.
They were consistent for 1 or 2 seasons. Then once they went into Europe, they've really struggled.
Yeah, but where did they finish last season? They didn't finish. They didn't finish
Eighth?
far outside of the top four last season. They finished
5th, 6th?
7th.
Yeah. See, that's
So they were literally
yeah.
one spot.
Away from what we're talking about now, and they're nowhere near anywhere as good now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I'm just asking a question, Borat. All right, chill, man.
Bad question, mate.
Good question. So before I go, comment from Bexon05. First of all, Bexon, thank you for being on this live stream for so long. This man's been watching this whole time.
We love
Appreciate
that.
you.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Great success.
So he said, let's see. He said Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Aston Villa, Chelsea, and United.
Ooh.
If they sign Amorim, otherwise Brighton.
That's fair.
I like it. This man knows some things. He knows some things. I like
Who do you
it.
say first? Liverpool.
So Liverpool in first,
Okay.
City in second, Arsenal third, Aston Villa fourth, Chelsea fifth, United sixth. If they sign Amorim, otherwise Brighton. I don't think Brighton is going to finish in the top 6 because I think a team like that struggle. We talk about this now more and more. Is that now it's of course it's still about quality, but quantity is almost just as important now. You need a big roster. You need players coming off the bench that are going to really help you either keep the score or change things for you. Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal. Did I say Chelsea? Chelsea.
I don't think so, no.
I think all of those teams. I think even Tottenham. Maybe not so much Tottenham.
To be fair, Brighton did spend a lot of money, and they brought in a lot of good players over the summer.
Yeah.
And to be fair, they did
I just
sell for 400 million in the past 3 years.
long over a course of a season. It's a marathon, right? Over the course of a season, I feel like we've seen this before. Brighton does really well at the start of the season, and then towards the end, they just tailor off down to 6th, 7th, or whatever, or 7th, 8th, whatever. So I'm going to say Manchester City finishes in first. Liverpool finishes in second. Arsenal finishes in third. Chelsea finishes in fourth. Aston Villa in fifth. And Tottenham in sixth. And I think Manchester United will finish in 7th or 8th. Sorry, that's not I know the question was top 6, but
It's all right. You didn't answer one of the questions, so you threw some extra ones in this one.
exactly.
That's fine.
Yeah.
We'll call it even now.
Interesting,
call it
interesting.
But lots of games left.
Let me ask you guys one more question before we finish. What has surprised you most about this season, or what has been the most interesting thing about this season?
Most interesting thing about the season.
Or has anything surprised you?
I will say Liverpool surprised me and how quickly things have worked under Arne Slot. And what's interesting is that City's on top of the league with all of their injuries, and it's interesting how many injuries Arsenal has had. Like the injuries, I guess, is the biggest thing to me, and how wild it is already. Only 9 games in or whatever.
There's been a lot of injuries.
It's like, yeah, a lot.
Those international breaks, which we have another one. Interesting. What else is interesting?
I'm going to say something that maybe people will kind of already know, but I think still we should give credit. I am going to give credit to Pep Guardiola, and I'm say it's interesting and pleasantly surprising that this man, after how many years has he been at Manchester City now? 8, 9? Close to a decade now?
10.
Close to.
I think
yeah,
10th year.
After, let's say, close to a decade, if not a decade, Pep Guardiola still manages to somehow find new ways to win. He broke football, possession, tiki-taka, tiki-taka. He brought that a little bit to Bayern, brought that to Manchester City. And I think just the fact that he still, after this time, opponents have not figured out ways to beat him on a consistent basis shows how good he is. Because, yes, you can say players. So that's important, of course. He's got really good players. But his evolution has changed in terms of his philosophy and his style of play and build-out patterns and all sorts of stuff that I think it's similar to like Ronaldo being able to maintain his physique after 20-plus years playing as a professional athlete at high levels. So I think that surprised me the most. And he's been very vocal in his press conferences about how he learns from everyone. Even Southampton, he said, like, I found that they did some things that were very interesting that I liked that we might use in the future.
It's crazy how much time these guys spend on like watching film and all the games and all that. You literally don't have a life.
Yeah. So football is his life. Yeah.
Like, they all have families for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
also like
Married to the game, man.
But yeah, but you think a lot of these guys, as much as they are the people that they are, they seem like they'd be very family-oriented people,
mm-hmm.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Mikel Arteta, Pep Guardiola. Like,
I'm sure they are at the right times.
I know, but
Yeah.
you can't be a family person.
I mean, I feel like they do two main things. They coach football and they hang out with their family. That's it.
Sure, but if you're gone for 13 hours of the day, typically, and on weekends, like at some point, and I'm sure both Mikel Arteta and Pep Guardiola, when they are with their families, they're probably not on their phones. They're not like on an iPad. They're not watching TV. They're like spending as much time as they can with their kids. But even in those moments, the one thing that does distract them is football and tactics.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed, but they find a way to make it work.
I think like if I was them, I'd be able to do that job for maybe 5 years max. Maybe a little bit longer. Like I would coach, if I could coach at that level and if I was that good, I would coach, me just personally, I would coach for like 5 to 7 years. Do really well, pour my heart into it for those 5 or 7 years. Tell my wife and my kids, like, just give me 5 years. And then after that, pull a Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah.
And just be like, peace. Gonna go to a job that maybe I have a couple meetings in the morning. And then besides that, that's it.
Yeah, but you get like when there's an international break, I know they're still thinking about the game, but you see Pep all the time. He's like, "Oh, I love international breaks. He goes away on golf trips and all these things because they have so much time. Because like it's 2 weeks the international break,
Mm-hmm.
so like plenty of time to like be with your family.
Yeah, but
nonstop.
they still have to be at the training facility for the guys who didn't get called up.
Oh, they now in the like they give everybody like few days off, like 3-4 days off at first, and then like I think there's enough breaks within the game now because of the international breaks, and in the summer all these coaches like think about it, 3 months in the summer with your family and you can literally do whatever you want because money's not a problem for you. You can travel the world for 3 months, 2 months, whatever it is.
And go on like rent a huge yacht, hang out with your family
Yeah.
off the coast of Italy, and just
relax.
chill.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like they go crazy work mode for
9 months.
8 to 10 months,
Mhm.
right? And then it's crazy chill mode, and then crazy work, and so
It's like being a school
I
teacher.
also think too it takes a certain type of person, man, to do it. You know, like I have there's some people I work with that have a saying of talking about like, man, if I had as much money as Dan Gilbert, I wouldn't work. But that's also why we don't have as much money as people like that. You know what I mean? Because like
Sure.
the reason why LeBron James is so good at basketball is because he's just obsessed over it for so long. Obviously, he's insanely athletic, but he obsesses over it 24/7. And even when they don't need the money and all that stuff, they still obsess over it because they just enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
So that's why they're so good.
Yeah.
I mean,
I figured it out, though. I know what I'll do. Do a really good job. Tell my family I'm sorry. I'm not going to see you for the next 4 years. But then after that, you'll see me for after all of the years after. Because in my 5th year, I'm going to take the absolute piss, get sacked right after I sign a contract, Mancini style, and just live for the next 3 or 4 years off of $20 million a year, $17 million a year. That's the way to do it. That's the way
be
to
good
do it.
enough to get a big contract, then be bad. Look at Ten Hag.
Or just go to Saudi Arabia and get a huge contract.
Yeah, but then if you get fired, you can still get paid and you don't have to work at all.
Yeah. But to your point, that's why these guys are where they're at, because they want to be there.
They want to
And
be.
they wanna work.
They enjoy it. They enjoy the competition. But
I mean,
think that's-
honestly, I like we're talking about like competition stuff. I think that's why our over 30 team is so good, because we just obsess over winning and watching
Uh-huh.
film
for sure.
and practice.
So much so that Joe almost got into a fight today with the referee.
He didn't almost get into a fight.
Joe almost said,
Did
did
you-
you see him?
Joe, do you?
He sprinted 20 yards.
Did you I was about to say that.
Yeah.
He sprinted yelling at the referee for 20 yards. I
Yeah.
thought he was going to punch him.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, Joe's going to
I
punch
was
him.
like, what are we doing?
Do you want to explain what happened?
Nah,
He's probably watching.
I doubt it.
I'll probably get sent off next game for this.
I go to step in to clear the ball after they cross it, and this guy takes a full swing at my leg.
I knew you wanted to talk about it. Go
And
on.
then 2 seconds later, someone like shoulder to shoulder, which it was a foul, but I was like weak. I'm like, dude, what are we doing? My biggest thing about over 30 is the only thing I care about at the end of the game, like priority number one for me, is I hope everyone can walk off the field and go to work tomorrow. Like that's the main thing. That like, I just wish they would call more. I don't want to say call more fouls, but like ones where people are swinging at each other.
yeah.
Like, come on, what are we doing? Like kicking people in the back of the ankles. Like, come on, what are we doing? This should be minimal contact. It's over 30 indoor at 9 p.m. at night in Royal Oak. So
I live for it.
he lives for us so much. He shows up. He shows up 2 minutes before the game. I'm like, you're not going to warm up. Next thing I know, 30 minutes into the game, Georgie's still warming up. I'm like, we could use you,
That's the usual.
but I know that's what he's big time. He's big time, but it's what time? What time is it right now?
I think it's time.
1:30 in the morning.
I think that's.
I think that's that, huh?
Yeah.
I think that's that. So
What an episode.
yeah,
I
fun
did,
one.
I did get a reminder on my on the TikTok today. It was like on this day, and it was a picture of us in our. And it was like a screenshot of like of us in our costumes. So it's been pretty close to exactly a year, because obviously we did a Halloween episode, but I do believe we did it on the the same day though. I mean, like I think we did it like the day before
so we could post it
Halloween.
on the day, yeah.
So
So
I like it. It's becoming a tradition. Next year the costumes are going to get even better,
done.
even
done.
crazier.
Georgie's
Can we
gonna
top
find a
this?
costume with less clothes for you.
It's funny because Doug was like, "Oh, you should do like naked and afraid or something," or like, I don't even know what that is, to be honest. But he's like, "Oh, you should be like mostly naked." And I was like, "What the hell did you know I'm going to do that?"
Good idea.
Good idea.
Doug used to dress up as Borat in college, and it was actually really funny. But
All right.
we want to say, do you want to close it down?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to anybody who joined us in the live stream. Honestly, I honestly think we would have gotten a lot more people had we done it at a reasonable time. We're doing this on a Thursday at 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So the fact that we got anybody is great. Shout out to my boy Bexon, because he just commented, great discussion, fellas. He's been here with us throughout the whole thing.
Legend.
Thanks, my man.
Bexon05, you're an absolute legend. So thank you very much. Any final words from you guys?
Let's send Georgie's costume to Bexon.
Yeah. We'll ship it to you, Bexon. Unwashed.
Uh,
All right. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Happy
And
Halloween,
we'll catch
everybody.
you guys in the next one.